5, 4, 3, 2. Hello. If you're just tuning in, you're listening to the Midday Toke. I'm your host, DJ Johnny Connie. We have a special guest here today. We have the one and the only from the land of the city and pride of purpose. It is Eizlo. Welcome into the studio. I'm excited to have you here and excited to get it started. And how are you doing today? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good. Happy to be here, man. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for having me.
For sure. Appreciate you coming on here. I know you've got a busy schedule, a lot to do here. Thank you both you guys for stopping by. I know you got your girlfriend outside of
My baby.
outside of the microphone here. Appreciate both you guys coming down. And I said where you're from, the land of pride and purpose, Richmond, California. But where did you grow up around? And what in terms of, is it outside of Richmond, or is it you spent your whole life there?
No, actually, I spent a lot of time in El Cerrito. So I grew up in my grandma's house. I was born in Oakland. My mom tells me the story of how she drove from my grandma's house in El Cerrito, flew on the freeway to Oakland. Don't know why she didn't go to Richmond Kaiser or any other Kaiser, but apparently that's where it was. So it was Oakland Children's Hospital. Grew up in El Cerrito for, I think it was like the first 4 or 5 years, and then Richmond for a good chunk of my life until I was like older teens.
All right, that sounds good. And then when you were growing up, what kind of artists did you listen to in general, hip hop or non-hip hop, when you were growing up around?
Oh man, a lot. Definitely rap. I remember a lot of E40, RBL Posse. But then my dad also had different influences like cameos, so it was a little bit of funk.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And then some rock, AC/DC. I remember my mom even having like System of a Down, the very old System of a Down CD with spiders on it, really old CD. But yeah, there was a lot of influences what led to, like I said, playing drums when I was telling you.
Yeah. We were just talking about it off air. You were mentioning, obviously now, hip hop / rapper in the industry of that, but you mentioned earlier you're in a band. You were in a band, have some history. You want to speak on that a little bit on air this time?
Man, I don't even know if a lot of people actually know that. It trips people out when I tell them. I was actually in a death metal band. I've been playing drums since about 2005. It's been a little slower now since I've been doing the rap. I had to sell my set a while ago, so I haven't been active in that sense. But yeah, man, I can pretty much play any style. Like I said, the last band was a death metal band, which is surprising to a lot of people. But it pretty much got my start in the whole musical scene on stage, getting that vibe. It was cool.
Yeah, did you ever would you do like a comparison of what you say, like what would you like more in terms of like, I guess, your rock career or hip hop? Would you say there is a comparison?
Yeah, I would say it's definitely comparison. I would say the energy of like a metal show, a rock show is a little bit more because you got people slamming and chanting and mosh pits and stuff.
For sure.
The rap show is a little bit more subdued, but I learned to love the rap a little bit more because I don't have to really worry about navigate myself. When you're in a band, you gotta get 4 or 5 people in. Like sometimes the band I mess with now, they would go the same thing. They have to get everybody in the same place to practice, and it's a process. But navigating myself is a whole lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. When did you start doing hip hop in general? So after that, like when did you start doing music consistently, on a day-to-day basis?
For the rap, it was in 2011. I met a friend of mine named Sean Bird through another friend of mine, Ryan. He was doing tattoos for him, and he told me about a friend that he had who was he had a degree from Boston School of Music for engineering. I told him that I rapped. I was trying to basically find something to do after the death metal band had broken up and were done. So I was always one like kind of grab the mic, someone would play drums, and I would mess around and just do like freestyle, just mess around. And I decided then, I'm like, look, man, I think I'm just gonna try and pursue this rap career this way. And at the time, I actually went by J Treat, which was my name. It was
J
like
Treat?
J.Treat.
Oh, that's
just
cool.
Went off my name, which is I don't think was the best move because at shows and stuff, people pass me up a lot. They were just like, who is this guy? But when I actually perform, people actually like it. But that was around the time where I really decided to just go for the rap solo by itself.
Yeah, for sure. And let's get more into that rap part. Your latest single, I was playing it before we went on air at around 11 o'clock, called Too Baked. Came out this year. Love the song. Walk us through this song for me. It was kind of, to me, correct me if I'm wrong, like a tree lovers type of anthem. But I want your perspective. I mean, what do you want people to gather from it?
Well, it is exactly like you said. I wanted to have a song because my name is Eizlo. I'm kind of leaning into the whole smoking angle of everything. So I really wanted to have something like a smoking anthem. I have the Bay Area anthem. I got these different songs. That was something I really wanted to make for the smokers, for my stoner family, midday tell people, you know what I'm saying? So I really want to do that, and also it's going to be on a mixtape which is going to be coming out in April. It's going to be called The Annex. All the beats is going to be done by Sully O Beats from, I believe he's from New York, but he's by way of Connecticut right now.
Yeah.
But he hit me up. We've done a couple songs before. He sent me a batch of beats, and I turned it into, it's about 9 tracks long, and that was the second single that we dropped off of it. The first one was Steph and Clay with my homie Jay Roberts from Canada. So we're trying to do it big. We're trying to get from the Bay to LA all the way out to Canada. We're trying to do it big.
And you know, I was going crazy last night because I was, you know, writing down notes, just looking up, you know, stuff you've done, and I didn't even think about the Eizlo thing until like I was about to go to sleep. I was like, oh, Eizlo, like it's literally, I was tripping, and I was like, it's a perfect thing for midday toke. I was thinking it, but I realized it's so late, so like I was tripping. I love the name. How did you even come up with it?
Believe it or not, my mom helped me come up with that name. I swear to God, my mom helped me come up with that name. Like I said, I was going by J Treat for a long time, and I felt like I was just running into a wall. Like I said, no one was really taking that name seriously. So I'm like, I have to find a name to go off of. I came up with the name Eizlo, but actually written out because I smoke a lot myself. And my mother just offhanded was like, well, why don't you spell it differently? Like, you know, like how you spell Eisley. It's E-I-S-L-E-Y.
Yeah. Oh,
And I said, okay, E-I-Z. I'm like, L-O. And then that was, the rest was history right there. I just went, I'm like, yeah, E-I-Z-L-O. And it's kind of rough because, you know, to this day, when I go to venues or different things, people will mispronounce it because they look at it and they're like, is it Eizlo? Is it Eizlo? Whatever it is. But my goal is to make sure that everybody knows it. Like right off the top, that's my goal. They see that name, they know exactly what it is.
And the spelling of it too, at least from my perspective, makes it stand out. So even if they don't know it, the next time they'll see it, they'll, oh yeah, that's Eizlo. I think it makes it stand out.
You don't
quite
see EZ too much.
No, no way.
I think there's another rapper, LZ, I think his name is, but that's like the only time I've seen that kind of weird combination of letters, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's gonna work out. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Now.
Oh, you've been working out quite a lot. And going back to the Two Baked song, how long did it take you to make this specific song? Correct me if I'm wrong. I think is this your only single for 2024 right now?
No, this was the second single.
Oh, okay.
So I dropped, like I said, Steph and Clay came out in the beginning of February, and then on the 17th I dropped Two Baked. So I'm trying to kind of have a structure when I do an album, is trying to do like a rollout. I used to just put things out all at once, but now I'm trying to maybe like leak a single, wait a couple weeks, another single, kind of build a little momentum for it. So yeah, so far that's where we're at with that one.
Sounds good. Just to stay on the topic of greenery, I guess you got an album called The Green Album. Now that's your latest album, if I'm not mistaken. Also,
yes, sir.
I speak on that a little bit. What was the thought behind that? I played a couple of songs on there as well. I love the first 2 songs. One's 6 and 7 minutes long, but I think they flow completely great, especially with the first one. You got a couple of nice features on there. I speak on that album a little bit and how you work through that process.
Yeah, for sure. So the Green Album was, the idea was birthed because I wanted to have an album that featured people that either had me on songs or that just really, you know, supported me, and I'd never worked with them before. I had them on a song. And so you'll see a couple of features on there like High Sunday, King Nova, there's Blonde Jew, On Solo, Grandson, all these people who have been adjacent basically to my career right now, but I haven't worked with them yet. And honestly, I think it worked out. Like I said, it's a little long, a couple of those first 2 songs. I feel like maybe I could have broken them up, maybe made one and then a remix just to make them a little bit more palatable for people to, you know, ingest. But I'm ultimately happy how it turned out because the song's really good. I perform. Those first 2 are my opener to my set. So I do Apples and Oranges and Heaven Sense, the 1, 2, to basically my set everywhere I've been going right now. So I'm happy with it. I like it a lot. And it's definitely a different vibe just with the more instrumentation. Kind of like jazz,
I liked it.
feel it was different than what I've been putting out. So it got a really good response and I'm liking it. I might have to lean into that sound a little more, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, like most of the time, I guess people don't necessarily like long hip hop songs. But the thing with this album was, like you said, it kind of had like this jazzy instrumental feel to it. Obviously, like that was probably on purpose, but I think that made it flow completely great. Was this something like new to you, using those type of instrumentals in an album or not?
It was new for me to focus like solely being that type of sound. It was produced by a producer called Yondo Beats, and I've used like the song Heaven Sent, for instance, that was a song that I put out on an album called Live from Outer Space back in like 2020.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And so I've always liked it. I always felt that it had potential. And then when I found all these Yondo beats, I found that beat again. I said, oh man, maybe I'll just re-release the song, change the lyrics, same hook, but just keep the vibe going. And honestly, I was happy. Like once I listened to all the beats one by one, and I heard all the, you know, like the real instruments and different things, it just kind of spoke to me a little bit. So it was really fun. And I'm definitely I think I'm gonna do a part 2. To be honest with you, I'm gonna have to go through his catalog.
Yeah.
And there might have to be a green album too, because this was fire.
Speaking of which, just in terms of songs, any features that you've just been a part of? Because as I looked up a lot of your own songs and albums. What have you been a part of, like other artists? That's the one thing I just didn't like check on.
Yeah. I've done a few. I think I've done more so of my own music, but I think I have about 10 features out there.
Nice.
So I've got the most recent one that I did was for, I believe it's for Cap and Kira, who is out of Canada, and he had me on his album. It's a song called No, I Don't Want to Sign, I believe, which is pretty good. One of the most recent one was another guy, I believe, from Canada, or no, excuse me, he's from Atlanta, Georgia, Raballing. He got me on a song with Jaron Benton, actually. So he had the verse from Jaron Benton, he had his hook and his verse, and he sent it to me, and I got my third verse on there, and he's pretty big, and at least the underground scene, I would say Jaron Benton's a pretty good rapper. So that was a highlight for sure. And to be honest with you, not as many people as you would think kind of approach me to get on their albums and get on their singles and stuff. I don't know what that quite is, but when I get the opportunity to, and I like the vibe, I definitely do. So this is an open invitation to anybody out there. Approach me. It's all good. I mean, I might have to charge a little bit sometimes. I got to get a little something. But, there's been times where I hear the song and I instantly will just write to it, and I'm not going to charge you at all just because it's really dope and I want to be a part of it. So
for sure,
that's pretty much how I do.
So if anybody's listening out there, 90.5 KSJS San Jose.
That's work.
Eizlo, but putting his name out there for y'all. And man, one of the, I don't think I wrote this down, but I was looking through some older stuff in 2020. You had an album, I think it was called Strains, and what I loved about it was like you literally, like every single song, probably except for like the intro and outro, was literally named after strain.
Oh geez.
And just for the just for the audience listening, we're obviously not promoting anything of that aspect, blah blah blah. But I do want to, and you worked with Pro Tracks on that.
Yeah.
What was the process behind that? Because the intros that you had were all, to me, also hilarious for some of them.
Yeah.
So, but it was also lyrical. So how challenging was that for you to kind of make it chill, but also obviously do your own artist type of spin to it?
So, first of all, shout out to Pro Tracks, the homie in Sacramento, Pro Tracks. I've been working with him for years now. He's probably the only person I've ever worked with, engineer-wise, that will do things just because he loves to do it. He's not trying to charge you. He's not trying to do this and that. He's like, hey man, I'm gonna send you these beats. Let me know when you're done. Come up, we'll record them. He's even came to my house with his equipment before and brought it to record. So first of all, shout out to him. The Strains album was, again, something that I wanted to lean more into the smoking aspect. The cover was actually shot in her parents' backyard.
No way.
As a matter of fact, my girlfriend, off camera here, her backyard, we shot it, and then I had my homeboy Nobi do the kind of graphic design and make it look like we're kind of in a store. But as far as keeping it the lyrical but still the vibe, that's kind of what I package all my songs is. I want it to have a vibe to it. I want you to be able to kind of kick back, but when you listen close, you're still going to hear some bars. There's going to be lines in there that you're like, oh wait, what? I still want to catch them because that's what it is. It's all about the lyricism and the artistry. So that was a really fun album to have, and I'm actually working on another one with Pro Tracks right now. It's going to come out later this year. That's completely out of the box. It's like a space odyssey type. It's the first time in my life where I've actually wrote a album that goes from the beginning to the end, and you have to listen to every song in between. It's like telling a story, which is crazy, but it was really fun to do, and I can't wait to share that with everybody. That's coming out later this year.
Oh yeah, obviously probably can't talk too much about that, but just on that aspect of what you said, like telling the story, I want to hear from an artist perspective. Like for me personally, like you just don't hear that too much, even from like mainstream artists. Like the whole album thing, that just feels like an old school type of thing now. Do you agree with that?
I completely agree. I remember listening to Dr. Dre 2001, and it was kind of that same vibe. He had the samples in between. He'll have skits. It's almost like an experience when you're listening to the whole album. Same with like Kendrick Lamar. He does the same thing. I really wanted to kind of bring that, maybe because I'm a little older myself. I don't want to lose that. I want people to be able to push play and listen to the whole thing, not just have the hit singles, but to have albums that you can really ingest the whole thing. You know, I think we're kind of losing that, like you said. No one's really focusing on doing that too much, at least to my knowledge. I'm sure some people are mad hearing that, but commercially, it's not done as much.
No, even at I'm not gonna lie, even at the station, not too many people listen to full albums. Just let alone not even a story, but let alone just listen to a full album. Maybe just take out a single here and there.
The world's driven on singles right now.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Like the albums are, and they even tell you like they're telling independent artists don't even focus on albums. Don't waste your time. Just single videos. That's all.
It's kind of cringy.
That's
to
one
an
of the
extent.
But that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make your albums. Like you can have your hit singles, but those need to come off your album and should be within your album, and then people find all the rest of it on there, and it should be just as good. So that's what I'm trying to bring. When I make something, and I'm sure it's not going to be all #1 hit songs when you hear them, but that's kind of what albums are sometimes. It's going to be just the flow of what the producer kind of laid out for the album. So
that sounds good. And who are you listening to right now, like in terms of like just besides like maybe outside of your group or yourself, like anybody you just had like you can't stop listening to them, like a certain song or something, certain artist lately?
Right now I listen to a lot of LaRussell.
Okay.
I know he's getting real big in the big shout out LaRussell, man. Bill Big, he's laying out the blueprint of how independent artists should really move and how you can move and make things happen by just being yourself, and I kind of followed that model already before I even knew about him, but now seeing how someone can progress doing that is really the best. So definitely shout out to Russell, shout out to Locksmith. He's from Richmond. I listen to a lot of Locksmith, and even outside of the Bay, there's lots of things I listen to, like Caskey. I've listened to a lot of Caskey right now. He's from Florida.
Oh, okay.
And Prof, there's a guy named Prof, Prof. I don't remember where he's out of, but he's just got this really out of the box style, really lyrical, but also like really big kind of stage show. He's really theatric, and I just kind of admire someone that really gives their all when they do a stage show. So I would say definitely Prof too as well.
Yeah, that sounds good. And then let's get back to what you've been doing lately. So by my count, you had 5 albums last year, and correct me if I'm wrong on that, but did you ever get tired during because I literally went through Apple Music. I saw like 5 albums, 2023. They're all different songs. To me, like, I think of an artist, they probably bring out like 1 or 2 albums like a year.
Yeah.
Dude, I counted 5. So like, what's up with that?
I like to work. It's just like I look at it like painting. Like Bob Ross made like I don't know how many thousands of paintings, one that people didn't even see and wasn't on his show. I'm the same way, but I'll actually put it out for people to listen to. Like I'm not gonna sit it on the computer. It's not gonna be on my phone. I'm gonna create it. I'm gonna put it out because I'm constantly always finding new beats and I'm always creating new stuff. So I guess I'm just someone that just has a work ethic. I just got a really good work ethic, and I'm able to still make the words rhyme and still not use I'm still surprised that I haven't like reused lyrics and reused lines, because you got to think, all those songs. So I had 250 something songs now. I was trying to compile them to keep on going. It's amazing. I'm just gonna keep doing as long as I can, honestly.
Oh, for sure, yeah. As long as you keep coming out, people are obviously gonna keep listening and stuff. Yeah. And speaking of people listening, I want to get to the topic of concerts, because I was looking at some of your posts. I wanted to ask you about your current tour, the DIY Northern Lights. Is that what it is?
I just called it the DIY Northern California tour. I didn't really know what to call it. So, and it's something I'm doing completely myself, so that's why I'm calling it the DIY tour. And it's basically just a lot of open mics, a lot of places that I felt that weren't going to charge me a whole lot to get on stage, because that's kind of what makes it work without having like a promotion or a management team. And then also shout out to Shatter City Sesh, man. They put me on a lot of shows. They do a lot out here in San Jose. They are more of a medical based show, if I could say that on air.
Yeah.
But it's something that they bring the good vibes. There's food. They have me come out and do music. There's another artist, Skinny, I believe his name is. He does a lot of performances out there, and now they're going to be expanding even into Oregon, Sacramento. And so I'm hoping to just ride the wave and get on there. And it's a good way to try new songs too, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, for sure.
It's been awesome.
Yeah, I was going to say too, because man, there's a lot of cities in there, ranging from just like a lot of just NorCal cities, like you said, San Jose around here, Sacramento. Then you ended off in Reno. You're just going all over the Bay.
Yeah,
to Nevada.
The Reno one was a surprise. I just got that one a couple weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
A guy hit me up and said, hey, I think his name is the Goat Memo on Instagram. He hit me up and said that he's got this at the distillery in Reno. and I've never performed out of state myself, so I jumped on that opportunity.
Yeah.
I think he just moved the date. It's in end of April now instead of end of March. He says he's having a surgery, but either way, end of April, I will be coming to Reno, and I already told her we're gonna do a little weekend stay. We'll have make a little time out of it, like a little vacation out of it. So
it probably might be 420 by the time you get down there.
Hey man,
up
honestly,
there.
at least close to it. I think it's like the April 27th. I want to say.
Oh, okay.
Matter of fact, 420. I'm actually out here in San Jose. I'm gonna be doing a Shatter City sesh, and I think they're doing a really really big one. I don't have the address yet because they do like private events, but closer to the date, I'll be promoting the flyer.
Yeah.
People can hit me up for the info.
Yeah, there's a lot of cities on there, but I think I saw like SJ like at least 2 or 3 times separated there. Is one of them at least passed already?
Yeah. I've performed out here maybe 4 times, maybe 3 times, 3 or 4 times over the past month and a half. Like I said, the Shatter City did a few, and then also SJ Major Moves, who's a promoter out here who does Liquid Lounge, Mosaic Lounge.
Nice.
He's got me on quite a few shows, and then he had me on one with a few artists, I think a couple weeks ago. But I keep feeling like during this tour, a lot has been pulling me to San Jose. I don't know what it is, but
it's a big city,
it keeps me out here, and I appreciate the love I get out here. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty nice out here. But since you have been going to a lot of cities just around NorCal, and like you said, you're going to Nevada, any favorite place? Not to, I hate to play bias here, but like of all the places you visited, any place that kind of sticks out to you lately?
San Jose.
Oh, really? Okay. What about compared to Richmond?
It's funny enough. I've never performed in Richmond. They have a place called Burnt Ramen. Used to be like a punk venue.
Yeah.
And I actually spoke to a friend of mine named Nobi, who owns Noble Cinema Studios. He's trying to get like shows started back to like hip hop shows. So I'm hoping that's gonna come up because I would love to perform in my hometown. I know, people I went to school with out there would probably show up. It would just be really crazy. So hopefully one day soon.
Yeah, that would be cool for sure. Especially coming out of that's surprising to hear, just because obviously you're from there and everything.
I know, man. It's rough. It's just like I feel like performances kind of take you outside. The opportunities were always around and outside of where I'm at. Even in Fairfield, I've only performed in Fairfield maybe twice, 3 times, and I've lived there 15 years now. It was just 707 bars, just really small things. It's always Sacramento, San Jose, like you said, San Francisco. It's always surrounding areas that kind of have the most opportunity.
That sounds good. And then I want to get to some people you worked with, because I saw that you got to work with Jadakiss on Carousel. That's what it's called. Mm-hmm. And then I also saw you got Yuckmouth on Go Chappelle. Mm-hmm. That was sick when I read those two. What was that experience like? And then how did you even get in contact with them?
So those were actually a part of beat packs. So there's like Anno Domini and Legion Beats. They will have a certain amount of times a year they will release beat packs, and within those beat packs sometimes they'll have features.
Nice. Okay.
And so the beat comes with the feature already on it, and then you have to create the song around it basically. Or you can, I think there's other options to get like an acapella version, but I saw that was an opportunity to get Jadakiss on something. I said, oh hell yeah, got the beat pack, found the beat. Enlisted the homies Ansalu and Showrock, who I actually know through Instagram, not really personal, but through this little Instagram thing that they have going on. Shout out to Barkeepers, by the way. But yeah, it was really big. Same with Yuckmouth, was the same type of thing. I think it was a Legion Beats. So would have been cooler if I got to work with these people in person, but
they're still on your feature.
Either way, the audio's there to enjoy, and it's still great songs, really great songs. But the bad thing about it is I've heard other people have the same thing. So when you buy a pack like that, it's non-exclusive. So that means me and 500 other people have it.
Yeah, I see.
But what I approach it as is, okay, me and 5 other people have the same song. Are you going to create a song as good as mine? Or are we going to all create good songs? I kind of put myself up to the test, basically, to see. I feel like my pen holds its own. And so when I see that, I say, I'm going to make the best song I can and release it. And hopefully people like it, and it's done well. It's done really well, that and the Yuckmouth song for sure.
Yeah, that's the thing about hip-hop too, because as fun as it all is, at the end of the day, it's still a business, right? So you still have to compete with others. But the thing I like about yours is that you added those 2 songs within your own albums of those. So I think that's also what kind of makes it stand out. Mm-hmm. But in terms of like artists, any artists you just been wanting to work with lately, like just in general?
I have to circle back to La Russell. Straight up, man. Yeah. I gotta think it's not just because dude's been moving. I just, like I said, the vibe and the positivity and what he's about just really speaks to the same kind of work ethic and things that I do. Definitely have to say La Russell, and just the Locksmith has been one from when I saw him on the battles. I think it was MTV battles in like the late '90s. I've been wanting to do a song with him just because I saw Richmond on his tag. I'm like, oh my god, this guy's from Richmond, California.
Is he
rapping? Yeah, he's from Richmond, California. Yeah, dude. And he was representing us on that stage at MTV. It was really cool, and just ever since then, even back when he was on doing Frontline and I was in that group, definitely Locksmith. Maybe even before La Russell. Sorry, brother.
And then let's switch gears here just a tiny bit. I want to get to your album Bay Business too, because I actually listened to that whole thing from 2022, and there's this song called Tom Brady, which I think that's the first song I played on here.
Yeah.
It's because like I guess I'm a little biased. I like Tom Brady; he's my favorite quarterback. But how did you come up with this song, and why did you call it Tom Brady? It's funny because I looked it up and it's just a picture of him too. You got the goat right there, so that's hilarious.
I don't know. I was kind of clowning a little bit when I found the cover. I found this old picture. He's I think it was like his freshman.
It's just
year
like
of
grinning
college.
or something.
Yeah, it's just cheese, and I'm like, you know what? Cool, let's use that. But the he's from the Bay Area. I kind of feel like I'm trying to do that. Everyone wants to be the GOAT at something, whatever you do. If you're going to be playing a sport, you're being music. I feel like for idolization purposes, that's kind of the GOAT that everyone's trying to. So I'm trying to be the GOAT of rap.
Yeah.
So I wanted to encompass both those things together on a song. And funny enough, I made the song, and that was the year he ended up retiring. He didn't do very well.
Yeah.
He didn't do very well. So I hope I didn't jinx him, but yeah, sorry, Tom.
No, he was pretty old then.
Yeah, he was already on the way out,
anyways.
but it was kind of like, and then it was funny because my mom was like, you gotta send this to him. Maybe he'll play better. Because I put the song out, and then I saw he was doing so bad. I was like, oh my god. Because, he's like the greatest thing. He's going to go to Super Bowls. And I'm like, of course, you wait till I put out a song for you to stop.
Playing good.
Stop playing great. But, it was still cool. I really liked that song a lot. And that was actually one that I was thinking of pulling out at one of these Shatter City shows, too. Just, like I said, you can kind of play around with your songs that you do there, try new stuff. So I might be doing that one soon. Actually, maybe on 420.
Just thinking on like the sports type of theme, I guess I was playing 40 and 40, and on the first soundbite you got, I'm not sure who exactly it was on the call there for that broadcast, but it was Curry hitting the three.
Yeah. And
I thought, man, that was a great way to just reel people in, like just on the topic of sports. You use like sports references, I feel like a lot. How does that work into your wordplay in terms of like sports? You obviously like keep up with it to a certain extent.
Yeah, like there's speaking like topical references, there's a cypher actually coming out tomorrow with Baby Gas and a couple other artists, and the first line is choke a rapper like Draymond did to Gobert, because it was literally I think like a few days after that big thing happened, and I got the beat. I'm like, let's just trying to keep something topical. So I definitely do try and keep up, especially with like big stuff like that, but also just being like a sports fan myself. More so football, but also checking into basketball and baseball a little bit. Just to be that Bay Area fan, still got to support my teams, but also it does help with just expanding the lyrical references for sure.
And then just speaking of sports too, you had we were talking about this a little bit off air, the 49er remix, I think, to stand out to the Bay Area anthem. You even performed at a Green River Festival at one point. Talk about a little bit about that song and how you came up with that, because that came out after the original Just Standouts version, right?
Yeah. So the Standouts original was on the Bay Business 1, which was a few years back. And then the Niners were hitting their stride in the playoffs. Things were going well. I had the original master with the open verse. And so I was trying to think to myself, I'm like, it would be really awesome to make a remix for this, something for the 49ers or at least San Francisco.
Yeah.
And so I sent it to Mr. Key, who's really big, Biz Latin, Bay Area artist. I sent it over to him. I didn't hear back for a little while, so I kind of, just kind of moved on from the idea. All of a sudden, dude sent me and said, check your email.
Oh,
sometimes people just send it
out of nowhere,
DM,
right?
You're like, well, okay, now check it. It was a whole master track already done.
That's sick.
And I'm like, man, we'll release this right now. I put it out immediately. I made the little cover, just whipped up something really simple, like 415 area code. But yeah, it was really awesome. And sadly, it happened the way it happened. The Niners didn't bring it home. But you know what? Next year. We got next year.
I promised some of these guys here that I would never talk about that situation again, but but we're already here. So
we're already here.
How did you said football is your favorite sport?
Yeah.
How did you feel after the game, man?
I was very sad. Very angry. I went through all the stages of grief. I think, which is like pretty much any 49er
Yeah,
fan.
everybody here.
But at this point, I'm over it now. I feel like, we're still got at least Brock Purdy, who's young, and there's a chance to get back to it. Hopefully Shanahan gets it together and we get this new defensive coordinator. Hopefully it's going to be somewhat of note, and we get this defense going and we get back there and get a offensive line. I don't want to turn this into a sports talk show, but offensive line for sure is what the Niners need. Guaranteed.
No, you're good. Yeah. We actually have a sports show one. Gonna keep it out of here. Let's get back to hip hop. And I kind of wanted to ask too, just because I couldn't get a confirmation on. Are you independent or like in a label as of now?
Completely independent.
Okay.
Yeah, right now. I've had throughout the years a couple people approach me with different things, but nothing that I felt was like concrete or legit. People are gonna try and get you to sign up for anything, and then they own your masters for however long. You gotta be real careful for doing stuff like that. So, never signed any dotted lines yet. So, free agent right now.
Just ask Weezy. He's stuck there with Birdman for a long time.
Hey, man, can't do that.
I don't know if he still is. I haven't kept up with him.
It's probably free now.
But speaking of just working with other people too, any producers you've enjoyed working with and that you also want to work with on some of your songs? Because you work with a handful of producers on a number of albums. Who have you enjoyed working with the most? Any that you got your eye on in the future?
So far, I gotta put number one, my homeboy Pro Tracks. Me and him done a lot of stuff together. Like I said, he's been probably the best engineer producer that I've worked with. But I would say sound-wise, 93 Beats, who made all the beats on the first Bay Business.
Nice.
He's got a really good Bay Area kind of slapping sound to it. I'm actually going to be hitting him up for some more beats here later because I need to get back to at least one more project with that kind of sound to it. But yeah, I would say 93 Beats for sure. And anybody who I'd want to work with, Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre, Timbaland.
Yeah.
Anybody, in the upper echelon
industry
world. Yeah, that's pretty much anybody. I'm down. So
sounds good. And then on your song, Northern Lights, I was also playing that a little bit before we started on here. And the Misadventures album, really, that's what it's called. Really, almost every song there, to me, like I listened to, a handful, but that one, like, it showed your versatility. It was a lot more slow paced compared to like maybe every other song that you've had.
Yeah.
Was that new for you, and how did you work through that process?
It was new. Like I said, my homeboy Pro Tracks, he has a little bit different of a sound. I believe he said he was from Chicago, but I could be wrong about that. He's a big fan. We're both big fans of The Alchemist, Action Bronson.
Yeah.
So that type of album was really in the same vein as like Alchemist production. So a lot of samples, a lot of simple, a little slower stuff.
Yeah.
And it was I was actually able to do a little bit more lyrical stuff because in the slow pockets you can do the choppy flow.
That makes sense.
And so it was really fun actually. It was really fun to get that. And that's kind of similar to what the new sound's going to be for that one Spacey album I was talking about. It's got that very kind of sample. He said he pulled out the MPX or whatever it is. I think it's like the thing you make beats on.
Oh, okay.
So it's definitely got a good sound, very parallel to that. But I would say that album was really just kind of like a paying homage to like Alchemist, Action Bronson type.
Oh, what?
East
Okay.
Coast, yeah.
Yeah, because when I was listening to it, like, I was listening to other albums you had, but this one just felt like, whoa, you're trying to do something different. And it worked, though. But it wasn't nothing that was, like, too crazy, because it actually just ended up working to your advantage. Mm-hmm. Was that your first time doing something that slow paced? I know you're doing something new now, but was that, like, the Northern Lights one that first time?
I think so, yeah. That might have been the first time really kind of going. Like, there's even some beats on there that don't have any type of, like, backing snare, and, it kind of just has that instrumentation you just rap over. I think there was at least one like that. So it was definitely different. I had to do a lot of like kind of research. I was listening to a lot of Alchemists at the time, a lot of Rock Marciano, just that type of vibe to get kind of in the headspace for it. But it was really fun, and it's just like another tool in the bag. I feel like being able to use that when I need to. So it's cool. And
then just like tools in the bag too and stuff like that. You have to like write all these songs. It's something I'm just thinking about right now. You got like a whole bunch of albums. Yeah. What's your writing process like going through all these? Because this is like 8-9 songs and like 5 albums, and this thing, I mean, it takes time, and you did this all within like 1 year.
So lately, what I've been doing is I've been trying to write as many songs in a sitting as I can.
Okay.
So sometimes I'll knock out 2 or 3 songs back to back because I'm just kind of in the stride. I'm like, I get a little bit obsessive. It's like I'll write one song and I know that there's 7 other beats on there. I'll sit back and then I'll be thinking about it. I'll be like, what's the next beat? What can I do with the next beat? And I'll end up doing 3 or 4 songs in one sitting. Same with the recording. I'll go in, I'll do a 4-hour session. I'll knock out at least 4 or 5 songs just because I'm trying to do one takes as much as I can, just so you're not punching in.
Yeah.
I feel like it's less organic when you have to punch in. There's a little bit more of a flow that comes with doing it in one take, or as much as you can in one take, within reason. But yeah, man, it's just something I'm able to do. I guess I don't know. It's amazing. It's like God's gift type of thing.
For sure.
When you're able to create in that type of volume, it's just like a talent. I guess I just try to use it as much as possible.
Do you enjoy the writing aspect of it as much as like, you know, eventually getting behind on the mic of it too?
Yeah, I think sometimes it might even be more fun because you're just really like, you're hitting your stride, you're feeling good, you're creating something new, and then you're moving on to something. You're like, man, look at, I just made all this new stuff. And I like I said, I'm obsessive, so I make demos on my phone. I will listen to the demos. She'll know. She can attest to that, back to back, over and over again. Listening to it, and especially when I'm writing, you know, I'm playing the beat over again. I have to do writing by myself because I guarantee it would annoy anybody that I'd be around because it's probably an annoying writing process, but it's something that works for me. And I guess just repetition, being able to do it over and over again, kind of just locks you in, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. As you're listening to 90.5 KSJS, I'm DJ Johnny Konya. Alongside me, Eizlo's coming from Fairfield, hails from Richmond, California. He's still on his tour right here. The DIY tour is what it's called, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. And then you mentioned Pro Tracks and then also Anno Domini Beats.
Yes.
But you worked with them on multiple albums, I've noticed too. So what kind of sticks out about them? Because it kind of seems like those are the guys you've at least worked with the most within the last couple of years.
Yeah, so Anno Domini, I always mess this guy's name. Anno Domini Beats was the one that always has the beat packs available. So you'll get 40 beats in a pack, 30 beats in a pack.
Yeah.
And so what I try to do is I try to use every single beat that I can that sounds good to me. So I'll listen to them all, then I'll start grouping them into ones that I feel like they sound like they go together. And then once I have 5 to 10 in the folder, I'll start turning that into like a mixtape or an album.
I see.
So Anno Domini, Anno Domini, shout out to him, man, for having those packs available, and for someone like myself to be able to utilize that and to be able to create like we're creating it is really awesome. So hopefully one day I'll meet the guy in person. That'd be cool. Shake his hand, like, hey, thank you.
Have you ever tried venturing into, I guess, producing or editing your own songs, like in terms of that aspect? Or try doing it, or do you do it as well?
I don't myself. I don't do any engineering, any beat making. I used to a long time ago mess with like Fruity Loops. They had a beat program, but that was like Fruity Loops 6. It was really old. But since I play drums, it's something that I always know that I'm gonna get into eventually.
Yeah.
Even if it's just like the little beat pads making the different hits, kick pattern, snare pattern, whatever. Eventually, I will venture into that.
That sounds good. And then I don't got every song on here, obviously, but I've been noticing like on some of the songs that you use, like the 40 and 41, it was like a soundbite of broadcasting, but you also got like quotes and movie quotes like just throughout your songs, sometimes at the end of it. Speak on that a little bit, and like what process do you go through to pick out certain things? Like, because I'm sure you have to be a little bit picky about what you're going to put in your song.
Yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's like a vibe, it's a feel. So I'm really big on movies. I've seen a lot of movies, so quotes are always, in my head. I'm pulling them out. So when I've done it a lot with Pro Tracks, where we'll make the songs, we'll have the album, and then he's like, hey man, let's look at some movies, let's find something that might have similar quotes to the vibe. So like we've used like Ricky Bobby quotes and some, what else did we use?
I heard like Mark Wahlberg in the Strains line.
Mark Wahlberg was in there. I think we had Pineapple Express. There was a lot in the Strains one.
Yeah. It's
just basically something that I feel will pertain to the material. Sometimes it's just I'll look up something, like I'll have a quote in my head of like inspirational something, and I'll just type it in, and then I'll see what's there. I'm like, oh, that sounds like that would fit, and then I'll just timestamp it and send it to him. Same with Jungle Life Studio. Shout out to Caden. If I find something on YouTube, I can just bring it into him and say, hey, here, clip this, and then he can put it in a song. That's what we did on Babe Business.
Oh, okay.
Same thing. 40 and 40, same thing. So yeah, it's just basically just finding either something that relates to it or knowing about something to quote that would relate to it. Yeah.
I want to talk about one, because one stood out to me when I was listening to one of your albums, and it kind of ended with like a quote just saying obsession will always beat talent at the end of the day, and it was like a repetition of that, saying no matter how much talent you have, if you're not obsessed with it, you're not gonna get it. And earlier you were just saying how, you know, I was talking about your 5 albums, how obsessed you were. So I guess I kind of want you to speak on that because, man, just gathering for, you know, first time meeting you here, you strike me as someone who's like obsessed with doing what you're doing right now. And is that just a true statement to you? And how much does that quote reflect to you?
First of all, shout out to ProTracks for adding that. That was a little finishing touch that he sent after the masters were done. So that wasn't something I picked. I got to give him the love on that one. That was in I think it was Adam Sandler's Netflix like basketball movie he did. I forgot the name of it, but it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, okay.
It was pretty good. It was from that. It was obsession will beat talent every time. So it's like you have all the talent in the world, but are you obsessed? And that's literally how it has to be, especially in this type of game for hip hop rap.
Yeah.
So many people are daily, millions daily are uploading their songs. So you have to really stand out. And if you're not going to stand out, you have to have a whole lot of catalog for people to, you know, be around everywhere so someone will see it. So I think that's basically what it is, to do anything and be successful at. I'm sure Tom Brady's obsessed, you know, to practice, or was obsessed, I guess.
All the greats, like Jordan, like, you know, you hear maybe, you know, you don't hear great things about their personality, but, you know, you'll never tell them that they weren't obsessed, you know,
They put in the work, and I'm hoping to bridge the gap both. I want people to be like, yeah, this dude was obsessed, he worked his ass off, but he also, he worked his tail off, but he also was a nice guy, and he was cool, and, you know, like that. I always want to have both, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I've heard that too, like, people are obsessed, but they're also not nice of a guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Like, I know what you mean by that. And I want to get more into your lyrics part of it, because I like to ask artists this. I'll ask a couple of other people like Trauma Fresh or Frisco Baby. How do current events influence your music and just your lyrics and maybe writing style? Does that have anything to do with it, or maybe is it just all like top of your head, or like you gather stuff from other types of art?
Well, first, shout out to Trauma Fresh. He just sent me a DM, I think yesterday, just said, let's do a smoking song. So shout out to him first of all. Lyrics wise, I'm not the greatest freestyle. I gotta be honest. So nothing really comes from, like, I don't put a beat on and I just like walk around and start spitting lyrics. I literally have to sit down, and I do a lot. Everything's on my phone now. It used to be on pen and paper, but now I put the beat on and it's all done by phone, line by line. You know, it's kind of a slower process in that aspect of it, but it works because once I have it down, it's rehearsed so much because I've been practicing it, writing it so much that I'm able to just record it real fast, which helps.
That makes sense. And then I forgot who exactly you were in an interview with, but I was watching like a YouTube clip with somebody you interviewed with, but he referred to hip hop as a sport. And I loved the comparison because it's a competitive type of field. He called it the sport of hip hop, and I'm forgetting the name right now, but I liked it. And do you agree with that kind of statement, like hip hop, just it being a sport in terms of the competition aspect of it?
For sure. I think that was with Bud Green. Bud Green, shout out to Hip Hop Radar Underground. Yeah, it really is a sport, combat sport. Sometimes, honestly, man, it gets bloody out there because it's a cutthroat. You know, someone will try and cut your time short, or someone will try and overcharge you for a show, or charge you period when you don't need to be charged. You know, it's just really kind of a game of like one upping the other and trying to maybe keep quiet some people because it'll be less advantageous for them. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to stifle someone to make himself come up. So in that aspect, it's a little hard. So trying to navigate through that and keep your wits about you, it's a little tough. But so far, I feel like I've been doing okay, and I haven't got any crazy things happen to me so far.
No, I think okay is an understatement, man. You're doing a great job.
I've been doing good, I think. So I appreciate you. Thank you for saying that, man.
And then I want to get you talked about freestyling a little bit. You said not necessarily like a strong suit for you, but what's the role of improvisation in your creative process, if there is any? If there's not, that's totally cool. But is there any, just like you ever just got on the mic, or maybe you just started freestyling, even writing, just like first thing in your head? Has that ever just played a role at all?
So as far as freestyling, what I actually do off the top of my head pretty much every session is ad-libs. So I never will plan out ad-libs on my verses or anything. It's always something that goes off of feel when I already did the verse. And ad-libs is like all, Amigos, woo, all the extra stuff. So doing all that, and it plays a bigger role than you may think, because what it does is it fills gaps within like your verse.
For sure.
So I would say the improvisation of that comes a long way, because if you do those wrong, it can mess up a whole song. I have a couple songs where I hear to this day, it's like, like I just did too much in there or whatever it is. So definitely freestyling, the ad-libs comes a long way, and you can also get that organic kind of feel too, because you're in the studio, you know, you got the song going, so it helps out.
Plus, it makes people like remember, you know, like people remember like Takeoff's like all his
Swear to God,
ad-libs. Like I
that's what
always
I said.
hear it everywhere
Hear the
now.
Migos, Mama.
Yeah. So like that's another thing. So that's pretty cool about it. And then I wanted to ask too. You just seem like so unapologetically you, and in the industry where people are always like trying to be someone different who they're not in order to try to, you know, get themselves up. How hard, or if you find it hard at all, how do you find authenticity in an industry that's often characterized by, you know, image and persona?
It's few and far between, man, because like, you know, you see right now what they're really pushing on the radio and things. It's the female. I'm trying to find the right words. The female sex appeal.
Sure.
I guess you would say they're trying to push that.
Yeah.
And then for the males, it's all violence. It's violence-driven, gang, gun violence, whatever it is. Even down to the algorithms on Instagram. If you have something in your video or something that says guns or shooting or, you know, something about sex, that'll get picked up faster than someone saying find balance in your life.
Exactly.
You know,
it's kind of crazy, huh?
Find, you know, financial literacy, whatever it may be. They don't want to push that because that's going to help the masses as a whole rather than push what they're trying to do. You know, it's kind of rough. It's rough, but like I said, I always will stay true. Like when you hear me on a song, it's not too much different than what you hear me talking right now.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, maybe a little bit exaggerated, but I always try to not have a character. I'm not trying to play a facade or anything like that. I just want people to resonate with what I'm doing just as art. You know.
That sounds good. And then as you're listening to 98.5 KSJS here, about to hit the top of the hour. I want to play a couple songs from you here as we take a little break and then get back on here to finish up. But as we're hitting 12 o'clock, you're listening to 90.5 KSJS San Jose. I do want to play a couple of songs here, so don't go anywhere, guys, and because we're going to come back here to this interview to finish it off. So we're going to take a quick break, and then when I come back, we're going to finish off the interview here with Eizlo. Appreciate him in the studio here. And don't go anywhere because I want to play a couple of songs, guys. So we're going to take a break. Stay tuned.
Yeet.
Hot key 34. Hot key 34.
34?
Yeah.
You're so nice.